So we have adjourned the closed meeting, we are now back in open meeting. And we are going to discuss, first of all of the items pulled from the consent agenda, and then conclude with the DK Harris rezoning application.
I'm just having a bit of technical difficulty.
I'm having technical difficulties too.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What's that?
I no longer can access the internet.
It's
Go on your
I got it.
cellular.
it's on.
It is on.
I'm on cellular.
Let's have a look.
See.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Well, you're not connected to the
I'm
internet.
gonna say this.
Okay, back on.
So,
I can't see.
Are you an agenda planner?
So just need that tab open, open a new tab.
yeah, I just opened a new tab on Google and it didn't open.
Oh, maybe your internet connection's.
It looks like.
Oh, no, Google came back. I do have Google. So this is Wi-Fi into the corporate.
Yeah, feed.
It is working.
Okay, it's not working.
They would come back. Took mine a while.
I'll go sit beside Melanie. I've got mine on PDF.
We'll probably just do this in order, start at 3.4, work our way through.
Defer all the minutes.
Yeah,
Ask council members to whatever the issues are.
Mine were for discussion.
Yeah. I don't think anyone's using it up for discussion. Area 1 housing agreement authorization bylaw. Third time is
Should I come and sit with you?
Who wanted to pull that? 3.4.
Sue Ellen.
3.4, I did,
Why?
because there were errors.
Yeah, well, that, we have to do that, so let's discuss it then, what the errors are.
Okay? I sent it earlier to Daniel, so he wasn't surprised. This item is the, sorry, let me find it, housing reserve, 3.3?
3.4.
What are you doing 3.4? Yeah, I'm gonna do something on 3.4, if you wanna use that, it's up a little further. So there was, extra copies of the bylaw in there. There were 4 copies and they were not all identical. But the main problems were, at the end of the red line version, at the end of Schedule 1, it said, in witness, there is Form C and the blank, and what? And then at the top of Schedule A, there's a verb missing. It says, a qualified tenant shall be the only person who is, shall be only a person who is resident, permanent employee, or retiree, and the purposes of this agreement. Colon. So there's a
So-
verb missing. Is it
Have
Meets,
you corrected
fits?
all this stuff?
So I'd say, so the final word says it should end after executing the Form C and remove the and.
thank you?
And you're right, the Schedule A should say meets the purpose.
Meets the purpose. Okay,
Okay.
great. And then there was a blank page after. I don't know whether that was anything. Schedule B. You looking for your phone? It was on the back there somewhere. Okay. There was a after the Schedule B, it said tenancy agreement, and then it was immediately followed by end of document.
So what we attached there is the blank, the residential tenancy branch.
Okay, so I just wanted to check with you that that wasn't an error, because then it continues into more copies of the same bylaw again, several times, so that's fine, thank you.
Okay, so the recommendation that bylaw number 453 cited as Area 1 Housing Agreement Authorization Bylaw 453, 2017 be read a third time as amended. All in favor?
Can somebody tell me what any amendments that made on table?
Allison, they were just typos and just clarification over a couple verbs missing.
Okay, and did somebody fix the address for the municipal hall?
I don't think so, but Daniel has made a note of that now, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. 3.7 has been pulled. Detached secondary suite bylaw receive report.
So 3.4, did we vote?
3.4 has been passed now, yes.
Pass.
And I requested 3.7 be removed from the consent agenda, just because I wanted to thank the planner for pulling this together and showing us that there has been a good response to the introduction of that bylaw. I think you mentioned there was 1 permit, there were 3 underway, and there were 2 other homes that could potentially come out of this when a larger home was being built on the property. So it's only been a couple of months, and that's 6 potential homes for Bowen Islanders under this bylaw. And thank you for preparing the report, and I look forward to the next one.
Okay.
So I'd like to move the recommendation. The council received a report from the Island Community Planner with detached secondary suites dated November 3rd, 2017 for information.
Okay, seconded, all in favor of passed unanimously. 3.8.
Yeah, this is a quick one, I just have a few questions for Daniel. Do you know how many, if they build out to their maximum for
Yeah.
FSR, thank you, how many parking spaces will they need? Do we know that?
So it depends on how big the units are. Basically,
Okay.
the smaller the units they are, the more parking they're gonna need. Because
Okay.
we provide parking per unit.
So do we have a ballpark figure?
Yeah, it's half per unit, and so, you know, they built, I think one of the numbers talked about was 26 units, if we provided 13 parking spaces for that.
Okay.
If they build, you know, more smaller units, they're gonna be providing more parking than that.
Okay. And they can take advantage of the eventual developers, they will be able to take advantage of the cash in lieu for the commercial portion, is that right?
I can't remember if they're included in that, because I know it specifically lists zones that can do it, and that's for the commercial
Yeah.
portion.
Yeah.
Um,
I was just trying to
Yeah.
see what else we could do to facilitate the, you know, or help
Yeah.
decrease the need for on-site parking
Yeah.
to make it a bit more viable, so that's why I was
Yeah, I would have to check, I don't know, but I can get back to you.
more.
I just had a question regarding precedent. This is a precedent. Is it possible that someone could come back and revisit their rezoning in order to request a precedent, that the precedent be applied in their circumstances?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, underground parking, if you want to put in underground parking, we probably will give you relief on your FSR.
Yeah,
We'd
that's
kind of
right.
like to see underground parking.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's easier on this site than on some, on the cove, because you can come in flat and you end up underground. Because I was thinking about it, you know, in terms of, say, like the Renison lot, right, which is potential development site, to get underground there, you have to go
down.
underground, like you
Right.
get down deep to do it, whereas this one's easier, you can go in flat and be underground. But yeah, there's other places they could go.
I was thinking about the second building, the pub
Yeah.
project.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll move the recommendation as
Um,
written. Oh,
Daniel, I call it, can you, you don't know exactly, but how many apartments or how many front doors are we thinking of in this development? Do you have any rough idea?
So I don't per se, because we list that maximum floor area, and then it entirely depends how big they're gonna be.
Are there any constraints on whether they're going to be building 5 or 6 large apartments or lots of small ones?
No, it just allows a floor area.
So there is no constraint on the size of the apartments within this development?
No.
No, it's a strata development.
Okay. So, all right, so we don't know the number of doors, but we're going to assume there are some, otherwise no one's going to get in. Will they pay the hookup charges individually for whatever amount of doors are decided, or is that included in the offer or the price or whatever is agreed on right now?
So this lot was included in the sewer, and when it was originally rezoned and revised, essentially council has said no, that it wouldn't pay, in part because municipality, when we expanded the sewer treatment plant, municipality paid for a good percentage of that, and some of the rationale for that was that would pay to serve the community lands, so the lands that we own and then in the process of rezoning. And part of the rationale being that it's up for sale, and essentially that a prospective owner is gonna pay us for the land for the buildings. And if we're saying we're gonna charge them per unit on top of that, they would take it out of the price of the land, essentially. So it's either we get it all in one fee, or we get it, you know, we get the fee and we get the additional charges after that.
Okay, so previous council said, hey, we're going to zone the land, we're going to spend some money upgrading the plant, to facilitate in some ways the sale of the land, and that this, therefore, to encourage the sale is incorporated in the sale price. That's the principle.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, and I think even
We
to
got more
encourage,
money because if we had said you're gonna have to pay X number of dollars, it would have simply been deducted off the price that they'd want to pay for the land, no matter what it was for. Right? The residual value cost basis.
Thank you.
Has the recommendation been moved?
Yeah, as written.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor of, okay. and
Tyler, do you know
that's
what
passed unanimously.
recommendation we're talking about, because I've got no copy.
3.8.
3.8.
3.8.
3.8, so it is done. Okay, 311.
If,
I sent an email with some comments, and I think I was asking Kathy if I think we should just defer this whole discussion.
The Cardina corner?
Yeah, to the strategic planning section. I mean, the 15,000 is a little bit for this year, but we've got, in applying the start of another big, huge development, and we certainly shouldn't be passing the plan saying we do the rest in 2018 without a discussion about a $500,000 expenditure.
Yes.
This has been a strategic priority for this year as well, though.
And
Right.
I can't hear a word
Okay.
anybody's saying,
Okay.
so I'm just gonna hang up.
Okay, well, Allison,
Okay.
just before you go,
Bye.
goodbye. So, she raises a very good point. You've managed to load the back end of that pretty good. The original intent here was we were talking about $60,000 to try to move the wall back a bit, and like Topsy, she just grew, right? So I'd like to see us approve today the $15,000 to do some initial exploratory work, push that back as far as we can, see if we can move the lane over, see what we're dealing with, because I think that we're kind of planning in a vacuum without knowing what that land mass looks like behind. You know, we've been looking at that corner for 25 years. Let's see if we can make it look a little different for a while.
so Councillor Morse's suggestion was that we remove and proceed with the additional steps, 3 to 7 in years 2018 and 2019. I would echo that.
I think so.
Yes, thank you. That's the reason that several of us pulled it. If you want to move ahead on this, we can see the logic, but we don't want to necessarily, before any other strategic conversations, commit ourselves at lockstep to the subsequent.
Yeah, and refer this project to
Yeah, yeah.
the planning session.
Yeah.
Put a Maureen in there now.
I've had my hand up. I pulled this. I have lots to say about it because I love it. I'm really in full support of this. It's been a strategic priority for a while.
Really?
Yes. My only thing, I just felt that I wanted to see a few more details on the east side. It came up in social media, it always does, when weather turns dark. It's been a big conversation at BIMTAC. I've tried to get on strategic planning for quite a while. I'd hate to see it deferred off. The only thing I'd like to see, I'd like the small step of increasing the drop-off area. The only thing I wanted to see was a few more design details about what's happening on the east side. I love what's happening on the west side, the sidewalk. I think that's a great improvement, and it will connect the,
The east side, we've got drawings. We all have drawings, but just the,
in the report, right, there's a sidewalk on the west side, which I,
Yeah.
right?
on the east side, even the one that's showing the sewer line from the library, you pulled
Okay.
that drawing, right?
That wasn't the one that was included in the report.
Yeah. We do have lots of them though. We've had-
Right, well, I
we had
haven't seen that.
This a
Fine.
year ago,
Okay.
right?
This hasn't been all been,
I
all I
haven't seen
was going on was the image that was in the report.
my crayon drawing.
Okay, we'll call it the crayon drawing, and on that one, it just has the hatching, the yellow hatching for the drop-off area. But
So-
if this is more, all I was just wanting to see was more details of, as you go
What
along.
Emma has suggested, I drew it all in as hatching, but there'll have to be like a meter of, so people can walk, when you drop it off, people can walk. And I don't know what kind of barrier I'm gonna use yet. It'll be
Okay.
something.
I think that would be something, if we could bring that sort of detail back to BIMTAC, that would be great, but I'm really happy to go ahead, like, I'd love to see council go ahead with that first step this year, and I'd definitely like to see it move on for the next year as well. The other thing is, I think, keeping Emma in the loop on this one, because she's a great finder of pots of money for TransLink, and because we're improving
Pedestrian access.
pedestrian, I think, we'll be able to find.
So Bob and Em and I met about this last week, the week before, I can't remember now. And it's very much a collaborative project
Yeah.
between Public Works and.
I just hear there's money being,
Yeah.
there's a
She's a
concern,
great-
and I think because there's so much improvement for pedestrian, I think there will be opportunities for some more funding. The only concern I had though, I've noticed that you put the crosswalk a little bit further in.
Yes.
And what's it gonna stop us from having jaywalkers who need to go straight up, not point, so that was just.
The blocks, the concrete blocks that are there, those blocks will come around, that's our initial idea, was those blocks will turn around the corner now, so you'll get pushed over to the crosswalk.
Right to the crosswalk.
Yeah,
Okay, I just hope, these are the sorts of discussions I hope we can have, because there's always been, I think what happened at up in the ferry line up here was a very practical solution, but perhaps the end result wasn't so aesthetically. And if we can start to look at aesthetic,
That's very polite.
that's all I would just like to see as,
the initial.
I'm not full of warm and fuzzies when you sort of say we're going to continue the lock,
Not the lot, but the little rounding ones.
yes, I'm not, that's just not.
I know, but the intent here is to see how it functions, right? We want to.
I would like to
move
see
it
us
backwards.
revert back to BIMTAC and some more
Sure.
details put into just the east side. I think it's a fabulous job on the west side, and I love the roundabout. I think it's fantastic.
Roundabout.
Let's just
Yeah.
make this
I'm not
clear,
even-
it's at the other end of Cardina where it turns, and it's not really a roundabout, it has a real rain garden in the middle.
Right.
No,
Anyway, sorry, Maureen had her hand up 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, just two things. If we do end up having library sewer work done down there, I just hope this will all be coordinated. I was thinking if we were going to be going ahead with putting in the library sewer, in the quote, there was an estimated cost for reconfiguring the sidewalk there. So there's an overlap in the two projects that I think needs to get captured.
Unfortunately, the sidewalks on Cardina will not be even close to where the sewer line will cut across.
Okay, that's great. And then the second thing is just a suggestion regarding the recommendation. It currently reads, proposal for the widening of the Cardina, and I'd like to suggest we add in proposal for preliminary work on the widening of the
Okay.
Cardina Drive. I just don't want anybody to think that we're gonna get that work done for 15K.
Yeah.
You wish.
And Bob, you'll have to put some gravel in with it.
Some what?
You've got gravel as shown
Yeah.
as the next phase.
Yeah, no, the gravel's included in the 15 gravel.
Are you able to get that?
Yes.
Okay.
Can we vote on that?
Can I just see?
As amended, right now it reads, shall I read it?
Sure.
That council directs staff to proceed with the Public Works proposal for preliminary work towards the widening of Cardina Drive passenger drop-off area at an estimated cost of $15,000 in 2017, and refer it to the strategic planning session. Is that what?
But to proceed with the Public Works proposal for widening of the Cardina Drive.
No, it said proposal for preliminary work towards the widening of Cardina Drive is what Melanie just said.
Yeah, so that's, Sylvan's correct, what we talked about is for the preliminary work of the widening of Cardina Drive. We were adding that in.
Yeah.
Just,
Well, Maureen just said it, sorry, that she didn't want people to think that $15,000 was gonna do all the work.
Yeah.
I wonder if we could just end it at 2017 and understand that we're taking discussion of the larger project to the strategic planning
Take
session.
that on
Sure,
trust. then.
okay.
The only thing I want to add in there is in that it gets referred to BIMTAC.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's right. And
Would that-
refer,
Can I refine this a little bit for my drawings first? before it
Please,
goes?
please do.
Absolutely. Put some flower beds
so if we
in there.
can just add at the end
A fountain.
and refer it to BIMTAC for comments.
In the middle of the roundabout.
In the resolution? Is that okay?
Yeah,
Okay, I move that.
Second.
okay, all in favor? Good.
Great.
So I got a question then. So if it's gonna be referred to BidTAC, then I do nothing until I get comments back from them?
No, you start the preliminary work. and
Okay.
let BIMTAC
Yeah,
look
that was-
at it.
Okay.
Come down, see what you've done, and then they'll
Okay.
be looking at detailed work going further.
I think it sounds like you've already had more details about on the east side.
Yeah.
I think if just coming and just presenting what it is you're hoping, and then just, if there's any comments at the meeting. I think it's just to make sure that that aesthetic and functional piece is there, and I think they'd just be really interested to hear that there's movement on this subject.
You know, I get a feeling that people do not trust Bob's aesthetics.
I don't think Bob trusts
No
the
flower power
aesthetics.
Quite, that doesn't hurt me at all.
Quite inconvenient.
They're gonna laugh
Bob, just a
back.
question. What happens to that entrance into that corner lot? Does it come from the top now, or is it?
No, they went and changed it, it's back to the original entrance. So if you
Not,
look
not
at my,
Hoover's.
yeah,
No, I'm talking about the next one over. They used to
yeah,
be the old
we'll
one.
have to keep those two driveways.
Oh, you are gonna keep
Yeah,
it, okay.
I can't.
No, you don't mean the ones, not the one at the Chevron lot.
Yeah.
You don't care.
No,
about
the Chevron lot.
Well, that's the one I was asking
Ah,
about,
it's
yeah.
toast.
Yeah,
So they're gonna, the entrance will be at the top,
obviously.
Yeah. Well, they,
as long as we allow
we
it.
tried to talk to them, right?
Oh, they
Yeah.
did, okay, fine.
So, just to be clear, when I'm widening that, I'm gonna widen it, maybe put like some concrete barrier along the edge in case it sloughs down, small barrier. And then they're like maybe about 20 feet of that, the cedar hedge, that'll be gone because I'm gonna try to swing that wall over. So, there's gonna be some cedar hedging gone.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the edge of the old Chevron lot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not clear, sorry, if, based on this resolution, Bob is going to proceed with the $15,000 worth of work right away,
Yes.
and then go to BIMTAC for
Could
the,
you just check in before?
when's the next BIMTAC meeting? This is my concern, that
Okay.
I don't want to lose momentum of him just getting started on the work.
Right.
Boy, the snow flies.
And if I'm not clear with the resolution, then Bob will be
It's on the 28th.
28.
I
So, I would.
How about an update on 28th?
Okay, yeah, so Bob kind of goes ahead, because it's gonna take a while to do this
Yes.
work, and then how we, I don't wanna use the word target up, but it's.
I just think it, just
Yeah.
to make sure that there's good pedestrian
Yeah,
access from the
Yeah, but he
end.
can proceed with starting, laying the groundwork, so to speak.
Or digging it out. Thanks, Bob.
Gucci.
Okay,
Could we hold Bob for 312, do you think?
what's that?
312,
That
when
would
we talked to Bob?
So that
No,
was
I'm-
Allison that pulled back?
No, I'm deferring
Allison.
the rest.
Yeah.
Allison.
All of the rest are minutes of meetings with no recommendations to council.
And Allison is gone.
Yeah, so
Well, that's why I'm
please take
pulling,
up-
but that's why I'm pulling
319?
319, because that's a recommendation to council.
If we could just go back to 312 for a minute, Allison's suggesting that the minutes raised a lot of issues that need to be brought up at the strategic planning session, so suggest deferment. That's the sewer minutes. I think
Okay.
that's a good idea that be
Okay.
discussed at the strategic planning session.
Okay.
Okay.
319, she says, minutes refer to circulating draft of survey before today's meeting. Was that done? I've not seen any.
It was not done.
Correct.
Okay, so that just gets scratched off those minutes.
320 was Allison also.
She didn't talk about anything past
Too
319.
bad then.
Okay. Okay, so 320 is not dealt with at this meeting and is deferred.
And I don't know what her concerns with 320
I
were.
have a quick
That was
question.
Melanie.
The 319 is really quick, so one quick question to Maureen, if you want to just get that off the plate.
Let's see how quick it is.
In there you discuss about a community questionnaire, and I was just wondering, you said it will come to council.
Yes.
Will it come to council for comment and input, or,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah,
That's just what I
We're,
want.
we're on draft 3, it'll probably get to draft 6, and then it'll come to council.
I think it's very interesting, and I'm looking forward to the questions. I just wanted to see if you were still open for
Yeah.
comments.
Okay, so move that 3.19 be adopted. Mover, seconder, all in favor? Pass unanimous. Thank you. 319 is off of our list. Okay, now are we done?
320 or 321, we get a bother with those, or, oh, not too long. Might as well do them.
Well, if you know what you're talking about, but I think it's.
Well, Allison is one of them, so I guess we'll have to defer 320. 321 was yours?
What's 321 about?
Allison Morse pulled it.
Oh, okay.
No, that was Melanie pulled the Transportation Advisory Committee.
Oh, 321, I'm sorry, that's right. 160.
So, 2 weeks ago, we had a meeting with the chair of BIMTAC, the chair of the FAC, myself. We had a meeting with BC Ferries and TransLink to talk about the ongoing issues of bus connections at Horseshoe Bay. We're still getting quite a lot of complaints with people contacting with issues about not being able to make the bus connections on the way out and on the way in. And so we talked quite at length, over 2 hours on this issue with them. We also had an update from the Council of Councils on what's happening with connections to Horseshoe Bay, and there's really nothing on the cards. We were told by the TransLink representative at the meeting that our best strategy for working towards better service to Horseshoe Bay would be to put a resolution to yourself you could bring to TransLink asking for more service, because as we see, as the tenure, when we went to the Council of Councils and we had the update from TransLink, there is nothing to Horseshoe Bay planned for the next 10 years. So embedded,
But
embedded in here is a resolution to yourself.
Whereas the mayor's 10-year vision plan, this is on page 163 of 328.
Well, I've responded to this.
But they just said, just keep pressing it through the mayor's council, so that's what we're doing.
Yeah, the mayor's council, as per the email I sent you back on it, I responded to this.
Right, so, but the TransLink, the, Shirley, I can't remember her last name right now.
Yes, I know who you mean.
Municipal
Yeah.
liaison or whatever.
Yes, she said there's still time to, to advocate for this, if there's nothing in there for the service improvements.
I have advocated for it at the workshops that I've attended with the planning department. And it has been duly noted along with the MLA for North Vancouver and so on, who also wanted that greater connectivity. But the mayor's council is working on a plan developed in 2014 and are bound and determined that they are going to get phase 2, maybe not phase 3, but phase 2 of that plan approved before they look at further improvements, because every mayor in the Lower Mainland is in the same situation as us, where they want more improvements. So it's fine for staff to say, oh, just tell your mayor to take it up with the other mayors. That's called being fobbed off.
Well, be that as it may.
We took her advice.
We're talking advice, and basically what the feedback from TransLink was that an extra bus on the 257 route would enable better service from Horseshoe Bay. Because at the moment, the service is not being aligned on the commuter runs for Bowen. There's still difficulties in the morning and at the afternoon connections, so.
Okay, I want to get back to the agenda, which is DK Harris. Right, we brought David back, and then we forgot to put it back on the agenda. So we're now back in open session, and
Excuse me, do we need a motion on those minutes? And
motion to approve,
motion to approve 3.21?
and seconded, and all in favor, and it passed unanimously. Thank you. So Kathy, we're on to the DK Harris item that has been added to the agenda by Councilors Hale and Mason. They wish to speak to it.
Well, I'll certainly speak to it. We had a meeting, as we were tasked to do, or volunteered to do more accurately, with both David and Steve Belringen. And what we looked at was the changes of permitted use only to the medical clinic, over which there was no issue. There was agreement. The floor areas permitted for the medical clinic and for the suites was clarified based upon 10 units or correspondingly to 16. And the square footages of the suites was resolved, and I fell within the guidelines that we agreed at the previous council meeting. The clause about the ownership of the medical clinic portion passing to a non-profit society did not appear to be contentious in any way. And in terms of the sewer contribution upon sale of the units, likewise, given work with our legal counsel, likelihood it would be agreeable. The 5% or any percent contribution to the medical society by DK Harris was fine with the council, but this was a private agreement between the society and DK Harris, and quite honestly the council's view was that it was a private agreement and the council would not be involved. Where there was discussion was on the Belterra example for the affordable housing units, for the affordable home unit ownership. And I have an on-table email this afternoon or this morning from David Belringer saying that they regard their contribution to the public medical centre as their amenity contribution to the project, and they would not agree to any below market rental or below market sale restrictions. And that was the issue of contention. And I think that at least sums up the discussion we had on the day, and anything else is a matter of discussion amongst council.
Perhaps it'd be helpful, Daniel, do you mind coming up and just explaining to council how the affordable housing component, the 15%, is embedded in our OCP and then the policy itself?
Sure, so as council knows, so our OCP is policy number 359, which talks about, I'll just read it. In the interest of creating a diverse inventory of affordable housing and in accordance with policy 0803 Bowen Island Municipality Affordable Housing Policy, all new development of 3 or more units requiring a rezoning will provide 15% of the gross floor space as non-market affordable housing, integrated on site with market housing, or make an equivalent financial contribution to the municipality to be directed to a housing reserve fund or housing trust fund, and not be issued an occupancy permit for any phase of market housing in the development of 3 or more units until the corresponding affordable housing has been granted occupancy. So then that has referred as well to our affordable housing policy, and that amplifies essentially what's given there in the OCP in terms of saying that the 15% non-market affordable housing could be affordable rental housing or affordable home ownership housing.
And to be clear, this is something that has never been waived by council, any councils before, has applied to all rezonings, and really do not have the ability to waive it. Just open that up for council's discussion.
What I think with the Mayor's permission, it does refer to gross floor space, and I'd like to make the point that the area, our understanding with DK Harris has been that we would not apply the affordable housing to the floor space related to the medical centre, nor obviously to the 2 below market, apartments. So of the entire floor space, it applies to 8. If it were it to be 10, it would apply to 8. I think I'd make the other point that there is also the option as well to do a cash in lieu of the affordable housing, and as yet we haven't determined an actual formula, an applicable formula in this case for cash in lieu. So that is something I think we should do, and I think it's something that we should make available to DK Harris to say that this option is available to them.
That's something council has to determine by resolution. But to be clear, Daniel, with the calculation for the units itself, I think, it's not applicable to 8 units, right?
It's applicable, yeah, I believe it is currently done, for the total residential area. And that ends up being,
The 2.
that if it's to be 10 units, as we talked about, it would be 2, and if it was 16, that the original proposal would be 3.
Yes.
So I originally supported this idea, this proposal, because it offered 16 rental units. And I'm understanding now these are all proposed to be for sale units, but they're not going to be rental in perpetuity, is that correct?
That's correct.
So from 16 rental units, we're down to 10 units that are proposed to be possibly sold at some point. They may be rental, but they could be sold.
Yes, and just to be clear too, the applicant is still trying to decide, I think, between the 16 or the 10 units, but yes, but not to place those restrictions that they be rental.
Okay. So basically, I don't know that we need any resolution. I mean, basically, the position of council is that our affordable housing policy stands. And I think the rest of it is information that we have made available before to Daniel to be used as part of negotiating with the proponent. Yes.
Yeah, in fact, the affordable housing part, I think, is one of our main concerns in the community that I'm hearing from people, and that we heard from back in the OCP update period, and even before, where some of these policies dated from. You know, I'd be prepared to move a motion that renews our commitment to, which I think, or supports or must abide by our long-standing OCP affordability policies and our the other bylaw, the other affordable housing bylaw that we've got, because those are what everybody in the community has to go by. And we've had them on the books for a long time. That's a big issue nowadays, is affordability of housing.
I think just as an example, the distillery has been required, the pub has been required.
Craft.
Gradually.
Yeah, every